World Wide Web. You're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
And welcome back to the Dr. Theresa Nicassio Show, a place of inspiration, education, and hope for a more compassionate and sustainable world. I'm offering this educational, inspirational show to you freely, but want you to know that your support really makes a difference. We are all in this together, so if you would like to join in the vision to help make this world a healthier, kinder, and more sustainable place by making a donation, you can do so right on the TheresaNicassio.com website. If you'd like to share your products or services with my wonderful global audience as a sponsor or advertiser, you can contact me through my website as well. I am so wanting to find the perfect sponsors that resonate with the vision of the show. So do let me know. You can message me through the website. I have a contact form on my website. I have an Ask Theresa button. Lots of ways to get through to me. You can also email me directly at TheresaNicassio.com, and that's Theresa. My website's Theresa with an H, Theresa, Nicassio with an N like Nancy, I-C-A, 2 S's like Sam, I-O as an octopus.com. Be sure to tune in next week when Logan Cillier will be with us talking about what he's learned about life since his spinal cord injury at the age of 16. He was a super athlete and wanting to pursue his athleticism, his athletic career as a professional athlete one day, and unfortunately he was in football and was tackled, and the tackle changed his life. So he's going to be sharing his inspiring story and the wisdom that he has gleaned over the years from this experience in life next week on the show, and I'm sure it's going to move you deeply. But for today's live program, feel free to phone in during the program if you have any questions for today's guest, which, given the content of what she's talking about, some questions may come up that are really important, especially if you happen to have any children with asthma or allergies, food allergies. If you do phone in, just let our producer, Jay, know what your question is so that he can pass it along to us during the break. And if we can, we'll address your question right on the air. For those of you in the U.S., you can call in directly toll-free at 800-555-5453. If you're outside the U.S., the number is 310-371-5454. 5-444. So that's 310-371-5444. For those numbers are on my website, TheresaNicassio.com. For your reference, you just click on radio shows and you'll get the picture, the page that has all that information. Anyway, you have no idea how excited I am to introduce our guest for today's program. I feel like I know this beautiful woman already. We've connected so much on social media, and we've been watching each other's work, so it's really very, very special, and she's doing incredible things, as you will soon find out. A little bit about Caroline. Caroline Moassessi is the founder of the international food allergy and asthma blog site Grateful Foodie, and is the mother of 2 teens who both live with food allergies and asthma. When she realized that the issues facing her own kids mirrored a much larger problem, Caroline courageously embarked on making a difference on a larger scale, dedicating her time and energy towards working on life-saving legislation and other food allergy, asthma, and lung health advocacy and educational efforts. Caroline helped co-author the first ever food allergy policy in the state of Nevada and partnered with, unfortunately now deceased, but with Senator Debbie Smith in her state and nationwide advocacy efforts to mandate stock epinephrine in schools. Caroline has served She also serves as the product editor and contributor to Allergic Living magazine, educates about food allergies on her local ABC affiliate network, as well as many other places, and is a regular HuffPost contributor on the subject. She's a co-founder and co-leader of the Northern Nevada Asthma and Food Allergy Education Group. Today, Caroline's going to shed light for us on and empower us around an extremely important and often overlooked topic, food labeling. She's going to explain why all food labels are not created equal and really help us navigate this quagmire, which seems on the surface superficial, but actually goes much further than the skin deep. So, Caroline, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm very honored to be here. I'm thrilled, actually, to speak to you. Just
Yay.
like Dr. Theresa mentioned earlier, we've been on social media with each other, and I just admire your work and what you're doing in the community. So thank you so much for...
you're so welcome, and thank you. And maybe we can start there, Caroline, because, you've got a real story. And would you start by sharing with us a little bit about where your interest in food labeling came from?
Oh, absolutely. So it started 16 years ago when my son was diagnosed at the age of 2 with multiple life-threatening food allergies. So he had and couldn't quite figure out where it came from, but we went to the physician or the allergist. They did testing, and as we walked away, we knew he was allergic to peanuts, tree nuts, dairy, egg, fish, shellfish, flaxseed, sesame seed, sunflower seed, pumpkin seed, there we go, lots of seeds, lemon, lime, and raspberries.
Holy moly. And these are all true allergies. I mean, because a lot of times you can have some allergies and some sensitivities. These are all allergies.
No, all allergies. We were handed an epi-pen, and we were told it was life-threatening, and goodbye. And so we literally stumbled out, went to the river and sat down and just went, okay, what does this mean? And so, the journey started right there. And the next moment was we came home, and I opened up the pantry, and I look inside, and it was no longer food. To me, those are just opportunities to go to the ER. And I was like, oh my God, I have got to get a handle on this. So, I took a lot of things out. We started eating whole foods. I was fumbling. This was in the day of dial-up internet. So the data was not as readily available as it is now. And then I lucked upon attending a food allergy meeting down in the San Francisco Bay Area when I was visiting family, and we still had our business down there. And where was
this? If you could speak more directly, and that would be great.
Oh, I'm sorry, the San Francisco Bay Area in California.
Oh, okay.
That's right. I'm sorry, I forgot. We're global. I need to get specific here.
Put it out, share it. Get your message out there. That's right, girlfriend.
That's right, because I'm up in Reno, Nevada, so I'm up in the mountains here. But anyway, we were in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I went to this food allergy lecture and met this incredible group of women who basically surrounded me and said, okay, you're at the bottom of the learning curve, and we can help you here. And we're going to educate you. So soon right after that, a woman showed up at my front door with a bag of groceries. And she said, you know what, I realized you don't know how to shop, and I'm going to show you how. And she came in, and she showed me how to label read, and at that moment I realized that I had been putting my child in danger, that I did not understand label reading, and I did not understand hardly anything, actually, on it, and why it was so important that I was basically exposing my child to allergens. Then she instructed me I need to call, the manufacturers of any product I want to buy. So I, absorbed that, and I decided, okay, I want to buy some soy yogurt for my son because he's allergic to dairy. So I called up the whole soy company and said, here's the list of my son's allergens, and who can I talk to about if these are in your products? Because the problem back then is the current labeling laws that we enjoy now were not in place yet. So when it said natural flavorings, you might as well just say mystery food. You had no idea what was in there. So I left my message. They said they'll call back, and this gentleman calls back, and he said, okay, I hear your child is allergic to quite a few things. Is it life-threatening? And I said, yes. And he said, okay. He said, if you have a few minutes, I'm going to educate you on how to call a manufacturer. And so he sat there, and he explained to me, which, again, was new to me, and I don't even know what I was thinking at that point. But he just said, oh, okay, he goes, if I run a plain, vanilla yogurt down the line, there may have been a lemon yogurt before there, before it, and there may be residue. Sometimes the machinery is clean, sometimes it's not. Depends on the flavoring. He said some products may contain your allergens just because of the manufacturing process. Then he explained that if an allergen's in a facility, there is the risk it can get put into something by accident. And he reminded me we're all human. He's like, people make mistakes, grab the wrong bag. And he even explained that when he does his safety training in his factory, that sometimes English is a second language and the training's done in English. And he even discussed how, a language barrier could be a problem. And my eyes are just, if you could have seen my face, my mouth's dropping.
Oh, I bet. They're just glazing over, like, oh, my God.
Yeah, that's like, oh, my goodness, I've been endangering my child.
Right.
And then he went on to explain natural flavorings, which, again, at that time, did not have to disclose anything. Now, a natural flavoring, if it contains one of the 8 major allergens, it has to be disclosed. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit, about current laws. Then he went on to explain that his product could be clean and perfect and lovely, but sometimes they're sent out somewhere else for packaging.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Sometimes they can send it out for packaging. And so what that means, like, say, a chocolate bar could be made completely safe, not containing your specific allergens, but that manufacturer could actually send it out to another facility that actually wraps it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, right.
And so then in that facility, there could be allergens present. So needless to say, by the end of that phone call, everything had changed. And I was shocked for 2 reasons. One, I did not realize the importance of food labeling. I mean, I just thought you pick up the package of bread. If you don't see it in there, you're fine. And everything's good. And I realized, no, you actually need to call and get a little more information. And especially for my son at that time, since his allergens are way outside of the normal top 8.
Right.
The other thing that shocked me is the gentleman who called me was the president and CEO of that company. And
I'm so impressed how much information you got from that. It's like you stumble upon this group of women who surround you. You have a woman that gave me shivers, goosebumps, that came to your home to help you, and then you had angels trying to, kind of walking you through this process, huh?
Oh, my God. I just thought there was, like, some sort of divine intervention. I mean, truly. I mean, fortunate to meet these women. I mean, they're still my mentors to this day. At this point in time, our kids are all heading to college, and they were helping me during that process. So I just feel so lucky for them. And then for the CEO, and I even asked him, I'm like, why did you call me? You're so busy, running a company. And he said, but it's life-threatening. This is serious.
That's
and
amazing.
And that's when it clicked. That's when it clicked to me. I've got to, pay forward and help others and share, why the food labeling is so important. Because, again, we're taking risks that are very unnecessary, that we did not need to take. And then, thankfully, by 2006, the Food Allergen Labeling and Consumer Protection Act passed. Everyone calls it FALCPA. It's very odd to pronounce in the acronyms. But this law was wonderful. So it's regulated by the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, and now I'm talking in the U.S., and also in Canada and the U.K. and several other countries as well. There are very similar laws, and these laws are wonderful because they mandate food companies and food manufacturers to put or to highlight major allergens. So in the U.S., we have 8 major allergens. So we have peanut, tree nut, dairy, soy, egg, wheat, fish, and shellfish. And then they vary a little bit. Like in Canada, add mustard to the list, sulfites and sesame seed. And in England, you can add more things. They have lupin and celery, and so things that are, more indigenous to those countries. And so when this law was passed, it was like, the skies opened up and the angels sang, and I was like so happy. But even with this law in place, a lot of detective work is needed because the law requires manufacturers to label for those top major allergens and then specifically in the U.S., in very lay language. So back in the day when I was trying to avoid egg for my son, I'd have to read labels and understand that albumin is also egg.
Right.
And that, casein and whey was dairy. And there was a problem. I read a label and I gave my son something with whey in it. I didn't know what whey was. I thought, okay, wasn't that from a nursery rhyme or something?
Yeah, that's right, curds and whey. I think it was Little Miss Muffet.
Exactly, that's it, Little Miss Muffet. But, so he had a mild, thank God, reaction because I was having trouble even understanding the label. So it's very wonderful now that those are listed. But where things get super tricky now is that the companies are mandated to list the major allergens, but they don't have to say may contain. And now what would create a may contain situation is like the whole soy CEO was explaining to me, is you can run one product down the line and then run another, and there may be residue or trace amounts left over.
Right, so the whole cross-contamination thing.
Exactly, like my son with the sesame seeds. I mean, those are all over the place. Those are almost impossible to manage. And so that is actually not required on a label. And then also what's not required on a label is made in the same facility. And, again, everyone needs to turn and speak to their physician and talk to them about reading labels and talk to them to what level of diligence, should your family follow and so forth. For my family, the rule from the physician was absolutely not made in the same facility, absolutely, nothing may contain. Trace amount is going to send my son to the hospital. And so that's where things get tricky. That's where we need to learn how to call the manufacturers and ask a few more questions, but all of this is so interesting to me because not only did it make me refocus about my son's health, but then it also brought to my mind that what are we eating, right? Like, and how little we know with what we're eating, because one point that Holsoy brought up to me is my son was allergic to lemon. Well, lemon
lemons are, I was just thinking about that. That's like a huge thing.
Oh, lemon was killing us. I'm half Greek. I mean, what do you marinate lemon? Lemon.
And it's, the citrus, it's everywhere. It's just everywhere. It's in the produce, it's traveled and,
Well, it is, and in the manufacturing process, lemon can be used to keep fruits and vegetables from browning.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what he was explaining to me, that lemon won't be listed as an ingredient in a food product because it's actually not part of the recipe, but it could have been used to keep potatoes from browning. Right.
Got it. So this makes it really tricky, and it's making me think about Robin McCord O'Brien, who is sounds like she's probably going to be on the show as well, maybe later this year. But she's talking a lot also about GMOs. Can you talk a little bit about, especially given your kid's situation, what that means to you around if GMOs are not labeled?
And, and I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, I'm so happy that Robin's going to be on the show. She's also a food allergy parent. She was one of the first people I think I learned about in the food allergy community as well. She
Another superhero,
Yeah, she was there a long time ago. And now where GMOs become a concern is, again, I have to know every single thing that's in a food, and I need to know every single protein. And so, there's all sorts of varying levels of GMO, and obviously Robin's going to get into that. But from my viewpoint, what panicked me one year is, I want to say it was in Brazil or Argentina, they were working on some tomatoes, and they were putting peanut protein in it.
And what kind of protein?
Peanut.
Peanut protein,
They were putting peanut protein because they were trying to create...
Logical.
I know. I was not ready to cry. I know, I was ready to cry. I was like, oh, my God. But what they were trying to do is create a more nutritious, tomato that was going to do a lot more. But they were actually talking about putting an allergen in it. And so this is just, again.
And I think a lot of people don't realize, with the GMOs, it's more than just three letters, GMO or some sort of fancy scientific thing. It's got real life implications, and it has real life implications, I think, for everyone for a lot of reasons, and particularly the connection with all the pesticide use and all the political things, which again is many shows in one, just that topic. But particularly for anyone with food allergies or food sensitivities, what you're talking about is bang on. I mean, this is huge because they're mixing proteins, they're mixing elements from different foods to make something new, but we don't really know what it is, and so someone thinks they're eating something that's safe, and next thing they know, they have an anaphylactic reaction and hopefully have their epi-pen on hand.
Well, and that's it. The key is really just knowing what's in your food. I mean, that's really the bottom line, is for anyone on a special diet or with life-threatening food allergies.
Yeah, so it's really big stuff. So guys, don't go away. As you can see, Caroline has a ton of information, and she came by it pretty honestly as a mom, just trying to help her kids and then wanting to help others as well, paying it forward. But we do need to take a short break, so stick around. We'll be right back after the break talking more about food labeling, allergies, food sensitivities, and such with Caroline Moassessi. Be right back.
Being inspired by a speaker while learning everyday positive information that you can use to help your life is exactly what Dr. Theresa Nicassio does when she speaks in front of your group. From healthcare professionals to special needs parenting and everything in between, Dr. Theresa Nicassio can customize topics for your group on everything from health to psychology. To book Dr. Theresa Nicassio as a speaker for your group, visit yumfoodforliving.com or call 604-445-6463. That's 604-445-6463.
For all your live or pre-recorded webcasting needs, come to earthchannel.com. Get your web-based message out to a select group or the whole world. It's easy. A pioneer in webcasting, earthchannel.com provides the best products and services to big corporations and government users. And now this same technology is available to you. They have the best Earthcast encoders, servers, and products to meet your technical needs. But wait, don't want to mess with technical stress? No problem. They'll do it for you. EarthChannel.com is your answer. You can use webcasting for lots of things like advertising, marketing, customer support, training, and don't forget web radio and TV. In fact, you're listening to a live Earthcast right now. So come to EarthChannel.com. Actualize your audio or video webcasting needs today. You can't beat the friendly service or the price. Call earthchannel.com at 1-800-849-8978. That's 1-800-849-8978.
Yumfoodforliving.com is the place to get easy allergy-free recipes, all free of sugar, gluten, and dairy. But that's not all you'll get when you visit yumfoodforliving.com. You'll get resources for all kinds of things like wellness articles, videos, podcasts, a blog, all to help you create easy, healthy living. There's even a 50-page downloadable book introducing you to the philosophy of yum. Don't wait. Visit yumfoodforliving.com. Yumfoodforliving.com. That's yumfoodforliving.com.
If you like to spend your television viewing time learning about some of the things that you may have missed in history class, or if history was your favorite subject, then you should check out the link to the History Channel on the HealthyLife.net advertiser page. Order DVD sets by series or by subject matter right from our homepage while you still enjoy your favorite HealthyLife.net show.
You're listening to HealthyLife.net, the radio network that brings positive talk with positive change to make your world a little better.
All right, welcome back to the Dr. Theresa Nicassio Show. For those of you who are just joining us, we've been talking with the grateful foodie, Caroline Moassessi, who is here with us from her home in Reno, Nevada. And before the break, Caroline, we were talking about food allergies and what's in foods and cross-contamination, things like that, manufacturers and such. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit more about about this idea, because you're saying how important it is to talk to manufacturers, but that's not something, we grow up with our parents teaching us as a life skill, when you're going to buy something to call manufacturers. So can you walk us through that a little bit and talk about some of the details? And I know there's some things around recalls that you wanted to share as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Calling a manufacturer is not easy the first time. Once you get over the hump, it's much better. Because you don't want to be difficult. You don't want to be the person, asking all these questions that maybe someone can't answer. And even with my own children, before I sent my son to college, that was the last skill set he took on. So if anyone's feeling uncomfortable, join the club.
Cold calling was not your pet cup of tea, huh?
Yeah, that's it. We got it. But the good news is you can call, and also many manufacturers actually have a contact form, so you can fill out the form. And so often what a lot of us do is we look a little silly in the grocery store, but we'll be standing there with our smartphones, and we'll be possibly dialing from the aisles or, taking pictures of the food items so then we can go home and then send an email or make a phone call. But the reason you want to consider calling the manufacturers, and even if it's a brand that you've been using and you love and they label very clearly and they do include those may contains and made in the same facility, is there are often recipe changes. And you just don't want to grab a bar and go. Unfortunately, in Nevada about 16 years ago, there was a tragedy where a young woman had grabbed a candy bar she had always eaten. It was Christmas Eve. She just got married. She was with her in-laws. She took a bite out of it, tasted funny, looked at the label. They had added hazelnut. And then kind of one thing after another.
It makes me crazy when that happens. It makes me so crazy when that happens.
Oh, yes. And without warning. Now a lot of the manufacturers, I have to say, are good about when they have recipe changes like that. They'll reach out to FAIR and other, national food allergy organizations to try to get the word out there. But it is important to give a call to see about recipe changes, any kind of manufacturing changes, and then also, too, if your allergen is outside of the top 8. My son had several outside of the top 8. And the thing to know, too, is when you call the manufacturer, you really want to just be very simple and straight up and just say, I have life-threatening food allergies. My child has life-threatening. I always use the word life-threatening because that gets their attention. And then explain the allergens and just say, I need to know, does this product contain it? And even though it's on the label, I do a double check because there are errors. There just are. But I, say, does it contain this item? Is it made on shared equipment with my allergen, or is it in the same facility? And then sometimes, if you're getting good response back, you can even ask, what are your protocols? Because there are some food items that my kids will eat that there is the allergen within the facility, but they keep it in a separate room. It's run on a separate line. They change their clothing. Sometimes I might actually feel comfortable with it. But you really just want to keep it, the call, again, very simple and just right to the point. Here are the allergens on the same line, in the same facility. If it is on the same line, in the same facility, what's your protocol? And then no matter what, you got to follow your gut. If your gut just says don't go there, just don't go there.
Yeah. And, something I'm going to throw in, just to be an extra fly in the ointment here, is that there's also, sometimes people have a company and then another bigger company takes it over but keeps the same name, the same label, and the same customers. And I know this has happened, because I try to do, have organic things and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm not going to name the company, but a very well-known company had some products that were always organic, entirely organic, and then didn't know, but it was bought out or, whatever by this bigger company. And this bigger company, kept, again, everything looked the same. What turned out, I discovered later, that they weren't organic. And so that's another time when recipe changes can change, and it can be something as subtle as going from organic to not organic, maybe the same recipe, but where the source of the materials are. The other thing I'll mention is that there's some companies that seem to be really, really wonderful with doing things that have no gluten and everything. and there was one time my husband brought a can of beans home by one of these great companies, or I thought I could always trust. Opened up these lentils, and And I got sick and then looked at the can, and it turns out they added wheat to it. So sometimes you think a company is all safe and good, but then, like you said, there can be changes. There can be changes in ownership, or there might be certain products that they have that you wouldn't expect would have. Why would you think that they would, for fun, throw in wheat into a lentil? But it happens. So I'm sure you've seen that with the other food allergies as well.
Right. No, that's a really excellent point. And then also, too, in calling the manufacturers, it's also good to ask them, do they vet their products? So if they're buying a chocolate somewhere, does that chocolate that they're bringing in to create, maybe the cookie or whatever they're creating, has that had any risk of cross-contact with your allergen? So that's a good one. But, accidents do happen. We, talked about this earlier, where we are all human. And so I just wanted to share a really quick stat. So this morning I went onto the FDA website and I looked at the recalls for 2017 of undeclared allergens. And usually that happens because there's a label change, to be honest. That's like the most, common error is that they've just got the wrong label. And then the most common recalls are actually dairy, wheat, and soy. But this morning I took a little peek, and so far since January 1st there have been 22 recalls by the FDA. And then the FDA regulates all food except for meat, poultry, and egg. And then those three items are actually regulated by the USDA. So I went over and looked at their site, and they've had 3 so far. So you look at, we're already mid-March, and there's 25 recalls already.
Since the beginning of January.
Since the beginning of January, and so that's
Holy moly, 25.
And yeah, just in the 3 months. And so that's a really good reason to call. And then also with those recalls, and this is a little gift I put together for everyone. I popped it onto my website. But there are the links where you can go and sign up to get these recalls sent directly to your inbox, to your email box. My son actually receives them at college. Because I want him to know, because how else is he going to find out, if the cereal he's eating or whatever they're serving isn't safe, so he can get it. But there is one recall I really wanted to mention that I think everyone, or not everyone I should say, but a lot of people were touched by was the cumin recall that started in the fall of 2014 and went on to 2015. And just really briefly, there was some cumin that was tainted with peanut. And it was coming out of Turkey into the U.S., and the end result of this was 675 products were impacted. Yeah. Because that cumin was in spice mixes and taco kits and meat products. The USDA had to pull in and recall 500,000 pounds of product. Wow. Because of that, and then basically tens of thousands of dollars were just destroyed because of it. And then all of this information I took from Allergic Living magazine because they did a whole special report. So they were reporting as this was happening, and then they did a full special report, and that's where I pulled this information from. But lastly, they had shared that the FDA had received 32 reports of suspected allergic reactions due to that cumin. Wow. And cumin, it would be probably one of the things that would be potentially put it as as natural flavorings or some of they don't have to, or spices, they could say, where it wouldn't even be named even if you bought a product in some cases if it was just a very small amount. Right, and it was cumin. No one expected that, but that just shows you how powerful these recalls. Yeah. Again, the recalls are amazing. I mean, I've had several products I've used be recalled, and I was always very grateful for this information. Yeah. Because then I just pulled it out of my fridge and followed the directions. That's perfect. And I just want to mention again, as Caroline was mentioning, she actually put so much love into coming onto this show. She already does, as you're going to see, her website, thegratefulfoodie.com, have got the link right on her profile page. It has lots of good stuff there. You're going to be blown away by the resources she has on there, but she created a tab special for today's show with the whole recall information, which I have the link going directly to that. Also on the my internet, free internet self-help resources page, I have a whole bunch of links to several of her other related resources
resources and downloads and kid-friendly interactive games for kids and so forth. So it's really good stuff, and this information about the recall and getting on that list is right there, as well as a whole bunch of other information about reading labels and what to ask manufacturers. She's like spoon-feeding us. It's awesome. So stick around. More about living with food allergies and also about eating out from Caroline Moassessi after the break, so don't go away.
There's a book that makes it so easy to embrace a healthy, gluten-free lifestyle, even kids will like it. Filled with heartwarming stories, food as medicine health tips, easy allergy-free recipes, and creative culinary inventions, the award-winning book Yum by Dr. Theresa Nicassio is your source for all of this and more. So make gluten-free living easy, tasty, and fun. Get Yum, plant-based recipes for a gluten-free diet at Amazon.com or visit yumfoodforliving.com. That's yumfoodforliving.com.
What does HealthyLife.net and Amazon.com have in common? Well, they're both available on the Internet. They both give great value. But most important, most of our positive program hosts and guests are accomplished authors, and their books are available from, you got it, Amazon.com. Now, it even gets better than that, because when you're listening on air to a HealthyLife.net host or guest, you can go directly to Amazon.com, and you can order your book while you're still listening to your favorite HealthyLife.net program. So when you hear an author you like, go to the homepage of HealthyLife.net and click on Amazon.com.
When you have a food allergy or dietary limitation, Dr. Theresa Nicassio knows it's hard to give up the foods you love, so she decided to put on her chef hat and give you affordable, personalized culinary consultations that will light up your taste buds. You'll explore substitute ingredients so you can enjoy your favorite foods again. She'll even help you make food preparation easy and guide you on your path to healthy living. And to get started, all you have to do is call 604-445-6463. That's 604-445-6463.
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
YumFoodForLiving.com is the place to get easy allergy-free recipes, all free of sugar, gluten, and dairy. But that's not all you'll get when you visit YumFoodForLiving.com. You'll get resources for all kinds of things like wellness articles, videos, podcasts, a blog, all to help you create easy, healthy living. There's even a 50-page downloadable book introducing you to the philosophy of Yum. Don't wait. Visit YumFoodForLiving.com. YumFoodForLiving.com. That's YumFoodForLiving.com.
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
All right, welcome back to the Dr. Theresa Nicassio Show, where we celebrate everyday heroes like we have today, an everyday hero who's become a superhero mom and advocate, and we work together to help make the world a better place. And today I've decided to switch up the schedule for our show a bit. Normally I put the Because You Asked segment at the end, and but there's so many questions that I've had at least hundreds, probably more than hundreds of questions about the topic we're going to be addressing next. And I'm sure that Caroline, she's been around doing this a lot longer than I have. She's probably had thousands. Because what I'd like to do is just to talk a bit about eating out, travel, particularly eating out part, and having one segment and trying to answer just one question didn't really make a lot of sense. But for those of you who are familiar with the show, what we do is you can send in questions at Teresa@TeresaNicassio.com, or just click the Ask Teresa button on my website. It's so simple. It's like the last little tab. TeresaNicassio.com is Teresa with an H, Nicassio with an N, one C and two S's, so it's TeresaNicassio.com, or you can email me at Teresa@TeresaNicassio.com. And you send me your questions, and your questions are awesome. I'm sorry I can't get to everyone's questions, but we do what we can. But we're doing a big broad stroke, because we're going to be using these last two segments today to be discussing the issue about eating out and about travel, particularly if you have food allergies, food sensitivities, so forth, because it is really tough. So, as you know, earlier in the show, Caroline, you were talking about the challenges around food and food manufacturing and how hard it is, even just as a mom, to get all this information, and the many pieces of the puzzle that can go wrong, where cross contamination can happen and so forth. So when we're thinking about eating out, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about food labeling with regard to the eating out and restaurant food.
And absolutely. So eating out with food allergies can be really quite daunting. And what's a nice strategy is find your favorite restaurants and stick to them and slowly move out. Don't choose a new restaurant like when it's a special occasion. Kind of just really quick strategies for eating out is you want to go for the first time during an off time, not in the middle of rush hour. You definitely want to go. You definitely want to call the restaurant ahead of time and speak to the chef and try to come up with what you can order. So when you come in, you're basically finishing that conversation, there. With it, we definitely stay away from restaurants that have too many of our allergens, because that can be really tough. I mean, you have to imagine, our home kitchen, and then imagine that home kitchen on steroids, and it's just huge, and there's all these different people in these different stations, and they're cranking out their part of that meal. There's a cold food station, and they're doing, maybe the salads, and so you kind of have to envision that there's a lot going on back there. So, you want to choose a restaurant that you can speak to ahead of time and make sure they feel comfortable with your allergens. Now, what's so fascinating with restaurants and food labeling is, a restaurant's job is to make this gorgeous food and put it out there for you. So they may not be as aware of it. So when you are calling ahead and you're asking and you're saying, yes, I'm interested in this stir fry, then you also want to ask, what kind of sauces are you using? Are you making them yourselves, or are you purchasing them? And for example, my son is allergic to sesame. So that's in teriyaki sauce and hoisin sauces and all these different sauces. And so often, chefs will call me or even walk out with the actual product label. And now where things get a little trickier, though, in restaurants, is these are chefs. These are culinary gurus. And so they don't necessarily know the labeling laws. They know quite a bit on food safety that's required of them. They should be somewhat familiar with labeling laws as well, but it's really up to us as a consumer to say, if you're using bread, where did you get the bread? Can we look at the label? Can we take a peek at it? And I'll give you one little short story, is my daughter went on an overnight field trip, and I called ahead, spoke to the chef. He went through every item on the menu. He went through and read me every single label. And on the pancake mix, he read me the label, and it was safe and everything. And then I said, what brand is that? And he told me the brand. I said, well, in the retail setting, that brand is not safe. There's a tree nut cross-contact. And he's like, uh-oh. And I said, you know what, I'll call the company. I'll call you right back. So I called the company, and in their commercial packaging, they did not put the warning on there.
No.
And this chef was horrified
and
frantic that he had been serving this to non-allergic kids. Thank goodness everything was fine, but it was a big lesson learned for me, for them, for everybody.
Wow, it's a really important story, right?
And exactly, and there are some groups out there now, working, the culinary schools, the National Restaurant Association. There's a big movement now toward food service, helping them to understand food labels and the processing. There's a group called AllerTrain, and actually I'm a AllerTrain master trainer, which means I can actually go into a restaurant and teach them about managing food allergies and gluten-free, cooking and food prep and so forth. So there definitely is a movement in that area. The movement's just started, though, so there's a lot to be learned still. Right.
Well, one of the things, I used to work in restaurants for about 5 years in my earlier days, and there's a lot of turnover in restaurants. So that's the other thing, where you can get human error, kind of incidentally. It's very, very tricky. So knowing how the kitchen runs and you know what the leadership is and the management of the materials is extremely important. I'd like to mention also, and you may have seen that just today, Jules. She published an article today that is fantastic, and number 5, she has 7 tips about going gluten-free and you know, some of the things you need to know about. Has a really excellent section around gluten and some of the other names. You're talking about labeling and different names that aren't just saying gluten or wheat or barley or whatever, because people don't necessarily know. So I actually think I'm going to add that to her, a link of that to her page, and maybe add it also to my to the other form of the online self-help resources. But it's all along the same lines. So you know, I think the calling ahead is really important. And the other thing that you're alluding to is I love to talk to the chefs themselves if I can, not just to the server, but actually talk to the chef.
That I think is really, really key, because like you mentioned, there is a lot of turnover in the restaurant. You know, so it can be a little tricky because, you know, that server may have been there just a short amount of time. Usually what I do is I'll ask to speak to the manager, and then I'll ask the manager, should I be speaking to the chef? And
there you go. That works too. Excellent.
Right.
Excellent.
Well, because sometimes the manager will be the one who will facilitate the meal, but the nice thing about speaking as a chef is they'll also know if there were substitutions that day. They'll know exactly what's in that food.
Excellent. So why don't we'll carry on talking more about the restaurant food and travel, because we do need to take another break. The time just flies. So more with the Grateful Foodie, Caroline Moassessi, about eating out and travel after the break. Don't go away.
Being inspired by a speaker while learning everyday positive information that you can use to help your life is exactly what Dr. Theresa Nicassio does when she speaks in front of your group. From healthcare professionals to special needs parenting and everything in between, Dr. Theresa Nicassio can customize topics for your group on everything from health to psychology. To book Dr. Theresa Nicassio as a speaker for your group, visit yumfoodforliving.com or call 604-445-6463. That's 604-445-6463.
If you're like the 8 out of 10 women that say finding jeans that fit is a problem, well, your problem is solved. Lee Jeans has done extensive research, and they have jeans that fit. There's even an online Lee Fit Finder so you can find the right fit for you. Imagine jeans that instantly slim you with a custom fit and no gap waistband. And guys, kids, Lee has jeans for you too. Click through to Lee's Jeans on the HealthyLife.net advertiser page and get what fits.
When you have a food allergy or dietary limitation, Dr. Theresa Nicassio knows it's hard to give up the foods you love, so she decided to put on her chef hat and give you affordable, personalized culinary consultations that will light up your taste buds. You'll explore substitute ingredients so you can enjoy your favorite foods again. She'll even help you make food preparation easy and guide you on your path to healthy living. And to get started, all you have to do is call 604-445-6463. That's 604-445-6463. There's a book that makes it so easy to embrace a healthy, gluten-free lifestyle, even kids will like it. Filled with heartwarming stories, food as medicine health tips, easy allergy-free recipes, and creative culinary inventions, the award-winning book Yum by Dr. Theresa Nicassio is your source for all of this and more. So make gluten-free living easy, tasty, and fun. Get Yum, plant-based recipes for a gluten-free diet at Amazon.com. Or visit yumfoodforliving.com. That's yumfoodforliving.com.
Radio your way. HealthyLife.net.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Dr. Theresa Nicassio Show, where we celebrate life, love, and kindness while also acknowledging the challenges that are a part of living. We've been talking with the founder and author of the International Food Allergy and Asthma blog site, the Grateful Foodie, Caroline Moassessi, who is wonderful. She's a mom of 2 kids with severe life-threatening allergies, and also they live with asthma as well. And she's been an incredible advocate. She's been an incredible advocate in the U.S., and she also, her work obviously goes international. But I'd like to just plant that seed because I know a lot of you listening are listening from all over the globe. So not only is she accessible here in North America, but the information she's sharing is really relevant to everyone, and it might give you some inspiration, and she can be a resource for you if you are in another jurisdiction or in another country or in another state or province and want to learn from her to help you empower you on your journey as well. So before the break, Caroline, we were talking about some of the food allergies around eating out, ways to make it safer, and so forth. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit. You mentioned at the very end of that little segment about substitutions. Can you talk a little bit about how chefs handle substitutions?
Oh, absolutely. So substitution, is when a chef orders something to be, delivered from one of his distributors, and they're out of it. So they just substitute it with something else. It could be something as simple as a ketchup, or a different type of bread. But, for us with food allergies and special diets, that's key. Because maybe they were using a product that was safe, for our allergies, and now it's not. And so that's why it's important, as we were talking just a few minutes ago, about if you can speak to the chef. Because then the chef will be able to say, oh, by the way, that's right, it's a different bread. But it does happen, and it is, common. And sometimes in restaurants that I know that might use, a few more processed foods, or like I said before, sauces and different things like that, I will just do a quick check and say, can you also ask the chef, were there any substitutions today?
Mm-hmm. And a lot of you listening may be thinking, oh, I don't want to, make the chef feel bad or take from their time. Now, I've had really good experiences, but I'm just wondering what your experiences have been, Caroline, when you speak with the chef.
You know what? They've been wonderful. I mean, because I always make sure we go into it with a lot of gratitude. So when the chef comes over, I speak to someone on the phone, the first thing I say is, I thank you so much. Because we really want to come to your restaurant, and we really want to have an enjoyable moment, and I just really appreciate your help. And to be honest, most of them, they want to help you. It's just we feel awkward. We feel uncomfortable. We feel that we're slowing down the group, or we're making it an issue of things. One thing I learned from actually Gwen Smith, the editor of Allergic Living magazine, she has allergies as well, is her strategy is she places her order last in the group. So then that way the group can keep talking and socializing, and she's not interrupting, but the thing is we do want to have these conversations because we don't want to end the wonderful night, with a trip to the ER.
Exactly. And, on your website, we'll talk about your website in a minute, you have, some downloads for easy cards and things like that you can give. Just like a couple weeks ago, I was in Toronto because I was one of the finalists, Mompreneur of the Year finalists in Canada. And we were at this place, a Sheraton, which I called ahead of time, the Sheraton Airport Hotel. I was so impressed. I spoke with people, and then I, speaking with Nigel. Nigel is a love. We're now friends on Facebook. We're, Instagram, all that. We just really, you can actually become BFFs with these chefs because they, you treat them like human beings with all this gratitude, and they treat you like human beings. And so, if you're ever in the Toronto area, I strongly recommend his food is phenomenal, but the Sheraton Airport hotel is really terrific, especially when you've got the blessing of Nigel, who works with you with all these crazy allergies. So you don't have to be afraid. It really is an opportunity to make a new friend. I just like to reframe it that way as opposed to that you're being the troublemaker.
You know what? That is it. Actually, the very first restaurant my son ate at, we had sent a thank you note to the chef, a thank you note to the corporate office, and then they sent us a gift card because they were
oh
so
my God, that's
thrilled.
So amazing. Yes, that's the thing. It just turns it right around.
Oh.
So I'm wondering if we could I know we don't have a lot of time. This could be a whole show, but I'm going to just ask you about traveling. But if there's just a few tips that you have around traveling, because when you're traveling, you can't go to your favorite haunts that you know are safe, and you're out there. So what are some of the tips that you have around traveling?
The top two would be packing your own food and being loud and proud about it and confident with it. And that's the thing that keeps us sane is pack a suitcase full of food that you know is safe. You know, put in your purse or your backpack, if there are crackers or sun butters, you know, whatever can sustain you that's maybe a little high in protein, a little more satiating, carry them. Pack them with you, and don't be shy, don't be embarrassed, you know. And if you are feeling a little awkward, you know what, my son and daughter, they've slipped into, you know, bathrooms before, or, you know, ran back to the car to get something and shoveled something in, you know, because you don't want to take away from the experience of traveling, and you don't want to add that extra stress. So I would definitely say pack your own food, feel confident. I've cooked in hotel rooms before with my little George Foreman grill or my little hot water pot, and we've been thrilled with that. Also, I use an app called Allergy Eats, and it's wonderful. U.S.-based. I can't remember if he has Canada or not, but I think it's U.S. And what's wonderful is you can put in your location, and then you'll get reviews from other people with allergies or special diets telling you how the restaurant was, how they were treated. And then also Allergy Eats puts out a top 10 chain list of restaurants that are allergy-friendly, and they just released it, I think, like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
Oh, it's amazing.
But I would highly suggest going to allergyeats.com or downloading it on your phone. That's been my mainstay. I mean, we went to the wine country. I found a place. We were in D.C. I found chains. And so they have just been phenomenal.
Terrific. So that we're going to be putting that link on her profile page as well. Excuse me. So real quick, we're running out of time. Can you just mention briefly, if there's anything special, your website is phenomenal. Anything in particular you want to point out to people?
Yes, definitely, you know, would come to the website so we can continue this conversation. I've added a new tab called food allergy labeling, and all this information we're discussing is going to be there. There are going to be links so you can sign up for those FDA and USDA recalls. There'll be the checklist on how to talk to a manufacturer. There'll be actually posters on how to read labels made from other organizations. And so just come over, and even if you're from another part of the world, shoot me an email, because I know people all over the world, they contact me, and I can connect you even with people in your country so you can continue to have those conversations. I mean, to me, this is all just one big conversation that I'm just so grateful for and just so fortunate.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Caroline, for coming to the show. We have to finish here, but thank you for coming here, all of you who have been listening. I hope you've enjoyed this program. Be sure to tune in next week when Logan Cillier will be here with us talking about what he's learned about life since his spinal cord injury at age 16. And remember, you can send in your questions for me or any of the upcoming guests by clicking on the Ask Theresa tab on my TheresaNicassio.com website. Keep sending in your great questions. It's a wonderful opportunity to offer information that can make your life that much easier and healthier. I'm Theresa, and this has been the Dr. Theresa Nicassio Show. Bye for now, and have a great week.